Hello everyone, welcome to another Green Dragons Gaming Club. Without us, they never feel like winners. Without them, we couldn't look so good. So again, we're based over in Westchester, Pennsylvania. If you're in the area, do me a favor, look us up. So as I said on several battle reports so far, we're getting ourselves ready to go out to Brawlers Bash out in Atomic Empires. Look them up on atomicempires.com. It's 6,000 points, and the way the games are going to work is the more points you kill, that's it. That's what counts. You have special cards that can give you an extra 1,000 points, and otherwise it's table quarters, kill the general, keep your enemy out of your deployment zone with scoring units, being your enemy's deployment zone with scoring units, and your general is alive. There's a total of 5 for an extra another 1,000 points. So the maximum victory points you can get is 8,000 points. To me, it makes for a different game, a different style build. If you have a build that typically smashes face to win you your victories, this is for you. If you have one of those hit and run and play point denials and that's how you win, you're not going to be able to do well in this tournament. Reminiscent of some old style companies of that shall not be named style tournaments. But honestly, I think it's fun. I think it's fun just to turn around and just play Smash Mouth gaming, and I'm really looking forward to it. So here we are. We're in the Dragon's Basement. Basically, it's my house, and I'm playing Brett. His name is Swelt up on the 9th Age boards. I'm Mark, Sir MC 2015, and we're doing 6,000 points, version 1.3. This is all for Brawlers Bash. So Ryan just played Brett. Brett smashed Ryan's army. It's absolutely smashed. And granted, Ryan's dice was not helping him once again. But to me, and Brett's playing, Brett's playing his Ogre Cons. So we're going to have Ogre Cons versus Dwarves. But, you know, I would turn around and I overheard some of the things going on at that table because at the time those two were playing, I was playing Lord Dan's Vermin Empire, and we're just like, what, and I think he's finally getting into his build. So here's his build. And he's got his Shaman with 4 spells, his Book of Arcane Power, the Crown of Autocracy, his Khan with the Axebreaker, Yeti Furs. I mean, pause it. Questions, comments, concerns, please definitely turn around and post it to me. Because again, we found out that Dan's build for his general wasn't actually allowed, even though one of the programs they use, I think it was Battlescribe, allowed it. So it's you always have to double check your lists prior to doing anything else. So here's my list. Nothing's changed. I'm going with everything as is. And here's the board. So we chose, because I turned to my opponent. I'm like, which game? Because the way it's a 5-game tournament, 2 days. It goes classic, diagonal, counter thrust, classic, diagonal. Those are the ways that the style of games how it's going to run. And what we've done is so far I've played most of the cards, and my opponent had only played 1 or 2 of the cards. So I'm like, you know what? This is going to be game 3, so you have to be missing 2 of your cards. We rolled for him, and so I forget which 2 he had, but prior to placing scouts is when you reveal your card. He revealed. What exactly did he reveal? He turned around and he revealed that he would flee, survive, and that was it. And that would give him an extra 1,000 points. Versus myself, I said my magic user would stay alive to the end of the game, which for me can be difficult because my magic user is in my frontmost unit prepared to hit my opponent and do damage. So that's what I ended up doing. However, it also, on turn 1, had he rolled double 1s, it would also result in a miscast, regardless if the spell goes off or not. So let's see. Over here, okay. He ends up out deploying me by 3 units. Okay. As you saw, I got first turn. But he out deploys me by 3 units. So he had a +3 to his roll. He rolled a 1 for going first. I rolled a 4. It's a tie. Little known rule that I personally have always, even in the last tournament, I think we may have re-rolled it. Whoever was done placing second, if it's a tie, there's no re-roll. You turn around and it's your choice as to who goes first. All right. So because of that, I chose to go first. There was no dice reroll. Because that happened, like, wait, this never happens. It's either you go first or you don't, because that's just how my group plays. And made me jump on that. So that's something to keep in mind. Even in your normal games, something to definitely keep in mind. So this is after Vanguards, and did I move? And after movement. So I moved Junior up. I set myself up on the perimeter. We double checked to make sure that his big unit over there could not see the Vengeance Seekers, or I'm sorry, the Seekers. They're not Vengeance Seekers. They're just Seekers, or the Warriors. And that was it. During shooting phase, handgunners took care of the Fido, or actually that's Porky. He didn't have a dead ogre yet, so there's my troll, or my totemic summons. And he moves up. Now, during my shooting phase, I am going to go back. I'm not sure. So, yeah, I'm sorry because I didn't have a... I thought I took that picture too. So, again, took a picture of his dog getting shot off the board, but I put only 3 wounds on his big guy over there that's turned sideways. Again, he was planning on going first. He had him sideways like that so he didn't have to worry about frenzy checks. So, unfortunately, and because of that who goes first special rule, it backfired. So he moves up like that. Yeah, no, I got nothing else. I completely forgot about his card at this point. I think we're going to have to print them out. He does a reform, and he does edge up. Now, I kept my things away, so he either needed a 10 to a 12 in order to charge me. If he charges me, that's a lot of hurt. And let's see. That's it. That's really it at this point. So, trying to think. Why did I take this picture? This is during his... so, during magic phase, he tries to magic my organ gun. I stop the first one. Then he turns around and gets a scorching salvo. Like, all right, sure, not an issue, you know, whatever. It goes against one target, and he goes, no, it's an aura 24 inch. What do you mean it's aura 24 inch? It's aura 24 inch. So if anyone better with the rules than I am, turn around and did we play this right? Because it hit just about every single unit there was. It did 1 wound to my Seekers. It did 1 wound to my what are they? My Rangers. Did nothing to my Warriors. Put 1 wound on my Vengeance Seeker. Did 3 wounds to my Organ Gun. Did 2 wounds to my Spears. Killed 1 Deep Watch. I don't recall doing anything to the other unit of Deep Watch, and everything else was out of range. So to me, that was painful. I mean, look, there's that, there's that, there's that, there's that, there's that, and there's that. So, and during shooting phase, he managed to put 2 wounds on my other Vengeance Seeker. Then during his shooting phase, he did 3 more wounds to that organ gun, removing that organ gun. Okay, that's all I can say is well played by my opponent. Very well played. But that's how devastating. So let me go back here. So look at this. If I was an elf, if I was Equitane, if I was anything that was a T3 army, okay, my God, that would be devastating. Even T4, even Beast Herds T4 without armor. Wow, that's such a good spell. So bravo to my opponent on that one. I ate that spell, so he would never cast that spell ever again. So going back to where we were. So now it's his turn 2. Oh no, I don't know why I have Porky Pig up. So it's my turn 2. I turn around, I charge. Actually, he told me that it was Dangerous Terrain's 1s or 2s. I'm like, no, I thought it was Dangerous Terrain's 1s. We re-looked it up. I actually only lose 1 of those models doing ETs. I charged his Scrappling Trappers. They got away, and he gets an extra 1,000 victory points. Meanwhile, over here, I charged into his big unit, and that unit there, those are his bruisers straight ahead. So I charge him with my great weapons and juniors. I was thinking I could hopefully do enough wounds to outwound him. I do, because I have hatred on that unit, but that was really a bad play on my part. I really should have probably only sent 1 unit in there and left 1 unit sitting back, because had he moved and left the other units back here, so let me show you. So had I kept those other 2 units back, if he turned around, blew it up, and killed him to a man, not an issue, because then he's stuck there and really doesn't have any charges. If I turn around, I could have done so many different things, and that's really, really what I should have done. So bad play on my part, good play by my opponent turning to face. And yeah, so there's that. So this was a long bomb charge. Let me go back. I'm going the wrong way. All right. So here's that picture. As you can see, the Deep Watcher there in the middle of the board. Let's go back a few more pictures. So I want you to see how far that charge was. There's that Scorching Salvo. All right. So that's where his Tuskers are. His 4. I think I have 5 in the description. But he only has 4 Tuskers versus my Deep Watch. I need a 10 to make that charge. Junior was trying to get into the handgunners. He needs a 10 over there. The crossbows needed boxcars. So every charge, with the exception of the left flank, is a long bomb charge. However, Swift Stride needing 10s actually is doable. Okay? It's not the most likely, but it's not unlikely. It's not uncharacteristic. So I turn around, and of course, Deep Watch turn around and get in there. And I did have a plan B, because he's not going to kill all the Deep Watch in 1 turn. And if he does, he's still set up brilliantly for counter charges. So let me go back to where we were. So there's that. Over here, I shoot that thing with the organ gun and the engineer. I put 2 wounds over there using the handgunners. This is combat. So my Deep Watch, I lose 7 models between his stomps, the beasts that they ride, and the guys up top. That is it. That is a lot of attacks that all strikes before Initiative 2. It's either Initiative 2 or better, with the exception of the Stomp. And he had only got 2 stomps against me, because during the Initiative 2, I killed 2 of his outright. Strength 5, AP 1, -3 to his armor. He's like, leaves me nothing. And then the King polished 1, did 3 more wounds to him. So he's breaking. Even with that said, I catch him. That kills the unit. And then I overrun into the guys right behind. So even with the slight pivot, that's the dog ran away. If the dog didn't run away, might have been a different story. But dog runs. I may have been hitting the dog rather than the mercs. Dog runs. I get into the front of his mercenary unit. That is a win for me, even though I don't want to go anywhere near the mercenary unit. He's got Thunderous Charge and Armor Piercing on that unit. Is a brutal close combat unit. It's well kitted out, although he may drop 1 of them to give it Bodyguard instead. That would still be a well kitted out unit. Over here, he kills all of my Vengeance Seekers. Of course, the Vengeance Seekers go first. Then I get 4 more attacks from the Vengeance Seekers. And I have 4 warriors left. I actually win that combat by 1. Or, no, we bounce. We push. And they stick. Actually, and I actually did, we thought originally until we did a recount, that he won by 1, in which case I stuck anyway, but that was that. So now it's Ogre's turn 2. He just... Oh, the dog ran off the board. He manages to shoot my other junior. He does a couple of wounds over to the spears. And then he puts a wall. There, you can barely see it in this picture, but there's a 3-inch template put right in front of the spears. And that's it. So this is actually the last pick that I have. So I'm just going to go back to the broad picture just from just a few things. So he turns around. He kills basically all my chaff. He kills my Vengeance Seeker. The one in the woods is still alive. He loses that cav again to the mercs. I blow up the mercs because that character is stuck against my king. So that character can only strike against my king and does nothing to my king. And meanwhile, the rest of the unit, he actually does quite a bit. He does 7 wounds to that Deep Watch unit. I did more than him. And I had more ranks. I think I was +3 in combat res, I want to say. And he rolled a 7 twice. So he's breaking. I let them go away. They just get to the board edge, and I position it so that during my next turn, because that was his turn, I can then charge them off the field and then redirect into something else. I managed to get my second unit of Deep Watch into the handgunners, and the warriors fail. He kills the rest of my warriors on that side. So he's got still his big brick of bruisers over there. The reason why we call it is because he no longer had his mercs. He no longer had his Tusker Cav. He chose to flee with his general's unit, which is now all the way in the backfield, all the way over there. So now his range of his spells is questionable. And had he not done that, it would have been an ugly flank charge into that unit. In retrospect, that was a mistake. I actually, and I had thought about it. I wanted to charge my Deep Watch with my king into his mammoth, his Rock, even though it would have been front because he moves it, preparing for that counter charge. The reason why I wanted that is now I'm strength 5, needing 5s to wound, and I think I have hatred on that thing because those things absolutely scare me. But I still had my buff spells and stuff like that, and he was no longer. And I figured my first unit of Deep Watch should easily be able to go up and kill the gunners and then overrun into, overrun into his general's unit, in which case I'm not scared of that big unit. And the way he positioned his bruisers was more offensive than defensive because he didn't, at that point, it just would have been too far. I don't think he would have been expecting that. Plus, I don't think he would have gotten through 19 Deep Watch in a single turn. I just really, really don't. Even though their strength 6 would have been -3, so 6 up armor. Hold stones in that unit, so 5 up ward save. Yeah, no, he's just not going to kill it. Rerollable leadership 10 just wouldn't have happened. So that's why we called it, because we mapped it out, and he looked at it, and at that point, I'm like, all right, so this is kind of what happens. He goes, yeah, no, you tabled me. That's long story short. Maybe the scraplings all the way off in the corner stick around, but no, you tabled me. And that was it. It was a quick, brutal game. So where did my opponent go wrong in this? And he and I had this conversation after the game because it was a good game, and I think we both agree. If certain things didn't go the way they did, it would be a different game. It would have been definitely a different game. So he turned around. I made that long bomb charge with the Deep Watch. At that point, he goes, crap. Because had he ran, he probably would have, good chance he could have ran off the board with Tusker Cav. And then I would have tried to have redirected. And he did not have an answer that would have been in proximity to have dealt with that Deep Watch either. Even his mercs probably would not have been able to reach it. What else? To me, when I look at his deployment, he put his mercs behind his Tusker Cav, where I think one of those 2 units, probably the mercs, because even though 1 speed 8, 1 speed 6, 2 inches. I think the mercs with the banner of Strider, the Strider banner, should have been on the flank, because then it's going through the forest. Who cares? Because it ignores the trappers, DTs, and it's a hard-hitting flanking unit. His Rocks being placed where they were put him at a slight disadvantage, because it allowed me to march up and get those flanks without any repercussions. Of course, he was also planning on going first. He did that defensively earlier on, and then he's like, oh, well, we're doing counter thrusts 1 for 1. Now I'm going to be going first, getting first turn. So his idea for deployment, or for was to move the Tuskers out of the way, let the mercs then take the middle. So now he's got 2 units threatening the middle, and put the Rocks out towards the outside. As they say, of the best plans is they always go to waste. So I always had plan B. So let's say I failed that charge with the Deep Watch. He's then charging with Tusker's Cav. It's going to hurt. It will not be a pleasant feeling for me. However, I would still turn around and he charges in. I now have a flank with my spears, and I can move that other unit of Deep Watch probably into a front. Okay, in which case my BSB has smashing. That's strength 10, so that's going to be 3 wounds. My general's got a great weapon, and then spears in the flank with cavalry, even monstrous cavalry, needing 6s. It's still AP 6 on that roll. So plus all the banners. So now I've stacked it in my favor. He charges in with the mercs. The mercs are going to hurt, but they're not going to kill all that unit. And then I have another counter set up. And I have enough chaff on the left that the bruisers are not going to go in. Get into anything really meaningful. What else? So that's how I play the game. The other issue I had with my opponent is, and those of you who play ogres, please post. I want your thoughts, because it's your army. You know it better than I. This is just how I view it. To me, the mercs that he's using as a bunker, they're a combat block. So I turned to him after the game like, that's a combat block. You need to get that unit into combat. That, if anything, that should be like your center of your fields, and get him in. He's no slouch. You know, if I want to try to kill him in close combat, all right. So I try to kill him in close combat. Meanwhile, now have that unit in combat. So try to make maybe ditch some of the more magic stuff and give it some more offensive hitting power or survivability, such as a ward save or regen save or something along those lines. So all that comes in to some misplacement, because he thought he was going to have his first turn. 4 combat blocks not being in the position that they should have been, in my opinion, and that's it. And end of the day, it came down to that first turn, him having to react to me, and that long bomb charge. If it wasn't for that long bomb charge, it's a different game. So, and I really like his list. I think, Brett, if you're watching this, as I'm staring at this picture, that is a dangerous list. Good job in list creation. I'm very impressed with that. That's it. So any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to post it. I mean, it ends up being, let me go all the way, a Dwarven's Hold massacre. Again, we turn around, we did some quick dice rolls, and we talked about and mapped it all out. For the MVPs, it was the Bruisers. They took out those 2 units, and then they had a chance to control that flank. They really did. Honestly, I was just going to all I had over there at that point was shooting and chaff. So it may or may not have been easy for him to control everything. He would have lost some things going down the road, but that's still That's still a combat brick that has to be dealt with. And for me, it was the Deep Watch. The Deep Watch again changed the game, but it had to deal not with their survivability, damage output, the king in that giving them swift stride. So those three things is what made that the MVPs. And questions, comments, concerns, please again post it. Until next time, happy gaming.